Hey, this is Smiles here with a new review. It's been a good month since Pokemon X and Y hit shelves, and after collecting the 8 badges, defeating the evil team, and becoming the champion of the Kalos region, I'm ready to give my thoughts on the 6th generation. Pretty much, I summed up the story already. 8 badges, evil team, becoming the champion. It's the same thing since 1996, and it's not changing anytime soon. Unlike Black and White's Team Plasma and the Plight of N, X and Y doesn't add anything to spice up the formula. So, Team Flare wants to destroy the world so they can create a new one, do they? Sounds a lot like Team Galactic, and Magma, and Aqua, and pretty much every other villain out there. Your rivals aren't on your level and hardly have any backstory or real motivation, and the story of the 3,000-year-old trainer who lost his Floette was just thrown in there. While story is the least important aspect of a Pokemon game, it's disappointing that it stays stagnant. While story takes a hit, I will say that the biggest improvement in X and Y is the presentation. Since Pokemon Stadium, fans have clamored for a full-fledged 3D Pokemon adventure, and X and Y delivered just that. The environments and battle scenes are fully fleshed out and show a great amount of detail. These games rival Colosseum and XD in presentation. The battle animations are smooth and show off each Pokemon's unique personality. Even though cries get an overhaul, I freaked out when Pikachu said its name. To top it off, you can customize your trainer. It adds a personal touch to the games to really put you in X and Y. While there isn't as much customization for guys as there is for girls, there aren't enough changes you can make to give your own personal flair. The main complaint I have about presentation, though, is the lack of 3D support. You can't turn on 3D in the main overworld. Furthermore, turning on 3D in battles significantly drops frame rates, so it's best to keep it off. X and Y introduced a significant amount of battle mechanic changes. The two biggest changes are the introduction of Fairy-type Pokemon and Mega Evolution. Fairy-type was introduced to counter popular threats like Dragon, Dark, and Fighting types, while giving Poison and Steel types a buff. X and Y only introduced 70 new Pokemon in the franchise, so many old Pokemon like Gardevoir, Clefable, and Granbull are retyped to Fairy. So far, I enjoyed the new type. My Slurpuff, or Marshmallow Man as I like to call him, loves to play rough with dragons. Mega Evolution is an interesting mechanic. When holding a specific stone, certain Pokemon can transform in battle to their Mega form, complete with beefed up stats, type, and ability. After battle, the Pokemon reverts back. Furthermore, only one Mega Evolution can be activated per team. While some Pokemon like Charizard desperately needed a buff, Mega Evolution clearly shows Game Freak Play's favorites. Blaziken, Lucario, and Mewtwo are already considerable threats. Why would they need a Mega Evolution? A lot of the Mega Evolution designs are overcomplex and look outright Digimon-esque. While other changes were brought to bring balance, Mega Evolution is a frivolous mechanic that caters to fanboys. As previously mentioned, there are only 70 new Pokemon introduced in this generation. However, many old Pokemon make an appearance before obtaining the National Dex. With the original Kanto starters, Mewtwo, and the legendary birds, X and Y is Game Freak's love letter to fans of Red and Blue. While I wish there were more new Pokemon to meet, I can see the appeal of bringing back old classics. Continuing on Black and White's improvement on online connectivity, X and Y further simplifies the interface for battling and trading via the PSS. Thanks to the 3DS's improved functionality of the DS, you can trade in battle anywhere and can easily access services like the GTS without the need of a Pokemon Center. Other changes like roller skates and the item layout in bags make it easier to navigate the overworld. Besides the main game, you can also feed and pet Pokemon in Pokemon and Me. By playing games, petting and feeding them, Pokemon become more affectionate. This also has an effect in games such as higher experience yield and randomly healing status conditions. I admit I love playing Pokemon with Me with my shiny Eevee, but it's kinda creepy to think you can pet a muck. Super Training is also another mode where you can play mini-games to gain effort values for your Pokemon. I personally like Eevee training the old-fashioned way, so I didn't find Super Training that interesting. So what happens after you defeat the champion? Well, not much. You can go to the Friend Safari to catch a new Pokemon, gain BP at the Battle Mason, collect new Mega Stones, or help look on some stupid mission. There wasn't much post-game, but that's to be expected for the first version of any generation. Ruby and Sapphire didn't have much until Emerald, and likewise Platinum filled in voids left by Diamond and Pearl. You get the idea. It's a simple trick to make players want the third version. Does it work? Absolutely! I've already put some money aside for the third version of X and Y. Here's my final verdict on Pokemon X and Y. Story gets a 7.5. It's lackluster, which is a shame after Black and White's more in-depth plot. Gameplay gets an 8.5. While I'm strongly against Mega Evolution, the new Fairy type adds a nice variety to battles. I can go on and on about new abilities, mechanics, and battle moves, but for the most part, I find them favorable. Design gets a 9. The interface is greatly improved from navigating the overworld and connecting online. Presentation gets a 9.5. This is the 3D Pokemon game you've been waiting for. A lack of 3D support from the 3DS is a small price to pay for a full-fledged adventure. Replay value gets a 9. While post-game doesn't offer much, replay value is extended by Pokemon Me and Super Training. Like any Pokemon game, you'll spend a ton of time playing. I've clocked in over 60 hours already. Overall, Pokemon X and Y gets an 8.7. Congratulations, Game Freak. You got me in for another generation.